afternoon and welcome to the 24th Street Park. My name is Jim Severa. I happen to have the honor and the distinction of being the Chief of Police for the City of Virginia Beach. On behalf of the men and women of the Virginia Beach Police Department, the 2nd Precinct Citizen Advisory Committee, I would like to welcome you to the Black Law Enforcement Pioneers Ceremony, Part 2. We are honored to be part of Africana 2013 Festival, and for a moment we would like to recognize the families of the members of the Black Law Enforcement Pioneers. So could we please have a round of applause for the families? We're going to have an hour of inspiration as we celebrate and honor 4 special people who dedicated their time, their hearts, and their energy since 1938. As you are introduced to them, you will understand why the city chose to honor these brave men and what they've done not only for our city, but for police work and the police profession in general. The Black Law Enforcement Pioneer Committee conducted interviews with family members, friends, citizens. They reviewed research material. They did all the background work that they could possibly do in order to recognize the men and women who were the first pioneers in law enforcement for the city of Virginia Beach. After hours of research and other efforts were made to identify all the men who needed to be recognized, it was noted that some were missed. This really was unavoidable due to the fact that records were not very well kept at one time, not like today. In the 50s and in the 60s, the computers were not up and running. Things were done by hand. Things were missed. The men and women who took it upon themselves to conduct all this research did a magnificent job considering the constraints that they had. And they did not end there. Once they realized that some folks were missing, some very brave men who stepped forward that their names were missing, they took it upon themselves to continue their research and have this Black Law Enforcement Pioneer Ceremony Part 2. They worked with the Virginia Public Library System, the University of Virginia Library, to conduct a really in-depth research. And today we're here to identify and to recognize Hezekiah Little Jr., Eugene Ramsey, David S. Whitehurst, and Warfield M. Wood. We are pleased to have our Honorable Mayor William Sessoms with us this afternoon, and he will make some remarks. I would also like to spend a special thanks to Councilwoman Amelia Ross Hammond for being here, and our City Manager Jim Spoor. In case you haven't noticed, we also have some of the command staff of the police department, as well as officers who have taken the time out from their duties on the oceanfront to attend this ceremony. I would be remiss if I did not recognize the Ceremony Planning Committee, specifically Captain Pat Gallagher, Ms. Sharon Felton, Ms. Bonnie Hall, Ms. Endra Hendricks, Ms. Deborah Kapicki, and Ms. Freddie Moody. And before I go on to introduce the Mistress of Ceremony, I would also like to make a special note to an individual who was always behind the scenes and was always a support system for Captain Gallagher, and that's Millicent Gallagher. Millicent, thank you. We are thankful to have attorney Vivian Hendricks with us this afternoon. She is a graduate of Green Run High School, where she received her diploma. She then went on to the College of William and Mary, where she received a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, and finished at Regent University School of Law, where she received her Juris Doctorate. Vivian was licensed to practice law in Virginia in 1996 after successfully passing the bar the first time. Since beginning her law career, she has worked in the Commonwealth Attorney's Office in Portsmouth and Virginia Beach, as well as the Office of the Attorney General, and for the city of a Commonwealth Attorney for the City of Virginia Beach. She also serves on the Virginia Supreme Court Domestic Violence Committee, and at this time I would like to bring up to the podium Ms. Vivian Henderson.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. If you can hear the sound of my voice, make your way down to the 24th Street Stage and Park, where we are celebrating pioneers in law enforcement, the first Black law enforcement officers in the city of Virginia Beach. Put your hands together for them. We are just 3 days out from commemorating 50 years of the March on Washington. And we know many from across the country traveled to Washington, D.C. today to mark that memorable occasion. We are excited that the city of Virginia Beach not only is recognizing history, but is committed to ensuring that our future will be just as successful. So to our mayor and to the staff of the city of Virginia Beach, let's put our hands together. I would like to introduce to you a young lady who's very talented, skilled, and of course, one of Virginia Beach's own. Let me tell you about this young lady. She's a 14-year-old rising 10th grader at Kellam High School, home of the Knights, who is an excellent student and takes all advanced classes. Her academic goal is to attend Princeton University, and her personal goal is to become a professional singer or entertainer. Her nickname is Ricky, and she is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Gooden, who are here today, and she has 3 older sisters and a nephew who lives with her. Her first singing performance was at 9 years of age at a school talent show, and now we are honored to have her perform again for part 2 of this terrific ceremony, the Star Spangled Banner. Please stand at this time.
And like stars through the perilous flight, for the ramparts we watch were so gallantly shrill, and the Rakins record the months bursting in there gave proof through the night that a flag was still there. Oh, who saved us that star-spangled banner wave for the land of the free and the home of the
Again, thank you to the Virginia Beach Police Department Honor Guard. Put your hands together for them. We don't need American Idol here. We already know that America's Got Talent because Marissa Gooden did a fabulous job. Put your hands together for her. And although I can say I'm a stallion from Green Run, that the Kellam Knights should be very proud to have her. Congratulations, Marissa. At this time, you all may be seated for those who can. And I would like to take this opportunity to introduce an incredible man who has offered tremendous support and commitment to the city of Virginia Beach. Will Sessoms is a lifelong Virginia Beach resident and president and CEO of Town Financial Services Group. He began his political career in 1988 as an at-large member of the city council. In 1992, his fellow council members selected him to be vice mayor, a position he held for 10 years. He was elected mayor in 2008. Without his extraordinary leadership, we wouldn't have opportunities such as this program to honor and celebrate this city's pioneers. He and the other members of City Council continually stress and convey the importance of appreciating our many different cultures, faith, and ethnicities. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Mayor of the City of Virginia Beach, William Sessoms.
Well, good afternoon. And just let me say that I could not be more proud of our police chief and Captain Gallagher for making sure that we get this thing right this time. And I just want to give them a round of applause one more time, please. And it really is an honor for me to be here. And I must pass on, we've heard about all these different high schools. Well, I went to First Colonial, you know. I think a lot of us did, didn't we? Thank you very much. And we're patriots and we're proud. It is my pleasure and honor to read this proclamation, if I may. Whereas in the 1950s and the 1960s, Robert E. W. Sparrow, Mendoza Holloway, Clyde I. Seiler, Alexander H. Woodhouse, Russell H. Lawrence, Charles C. Pace, John E. Parks III, Warfield M. Wood, Ezekiel Little Jr., Eugene Ramsey, David S. Whitehurst, and as many as 23 auxiliary police officers patrolled Virginia Beach prior to the merger of Princess Anne County and the town of Virginia Beach in 1963. Whereas Officer Sparrow, Holloway, Lawrence, Pace, Ramsey, and Whitehurst were full-time Princess Anne County police officers. Officer Seiler, Woodhouse were part-time town of Virginia Beach officers. Whereas Officer Little was employed by Seaview Beach in Princess Anne County, having full arrest powers, and was tragically shot and killed while on duty in 1953. And whereas Officer Parks and Wood joined the force after the merger in 1963. And whereas these fine officers were subjected to internal and external racial pressures that were once commonplace. And whereas Virginia Beach's first black law enforcement officers performed their duties in a professional manner and focused on providing public services to the citizens of their community. Whereas each of these men was responsible for paving the way for future generations of black law enforcement professionals. Whereas the Virginia Beach Police Department and the citizens of Virginia Beach consider these men pioneers in their professions. Now, therefore I, William D. Sessoms Jr., Mayor of the City of Virginia Beach, Virginia, do hereby proclaim August 24th, 2013, Black Law Enforcement Pioneers Day in Virginia Beach. And I encourage all citizens to celebrate the accomplishments of the first black police officers in Virginia Beach and to extend our gratitude to them and their families. We must never forget the families for all their support, for their commitment in making a difference in the lives of us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mayor Sessoms. At this time, we will have Police Chaplain Ruby Christian to bring forth the invocation.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is an honor to be here today. And I would ask each and every one of you, if you would just bow your heads just for a few moments of prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we come to you as you have said we should, with our prayers of thankfulness for this very special day of recognition for the black law enforcement pioneers in the City of Virginia Beach. We'll lift our hearts to you and express our praise and gratitude for each person here. We ask your blessings on all who gather, our police department, and most of all, our great city of Virginia Beach. We thank you for your presence. In your precious son's name, amen.
On the count of three, I don't know if I can get a drum roll. Someone make a noise. Is there an app for that? But on the count of three, we're gonna count it down and we're gonna see the new plaque. We're gonna go backwards. Can you all join me? 3, 2, 1. Absolutely breathtaking, beautiful, and commemorating the service of the pioneers of the Virginia Beach Law Enforcement Department. And before we proceed with our program, I would like to recognize John E. Parks III. Officer Parks is one of only 2 living pioneers, and we wish to recognize him today. We had the honor of having Officer Parks speak at our ceremony last August, and we are honored that he could join us again this year. After I complete, Officer Parks, would you please raise your hand so we can recognize you today? And you don't have to worry, he does not have a siren or a light on that scooter. So we don't have to worry about anyone getting run over. But before we proceed with our program today, I want to remind each of you of all those other officers that we recognized in August. The 4 that we're recognizing today, along with those that we recognized in August, did something that many of us today would be afraid to do, which is to step out and be a first in a place where many had said we should be last. They said, not only will we do this for our community, we'll do this for our families and for our culture. So we salute each and every officer who's a pioneer in the Virginia Beach Police Department. I'm glad I can still move fast. Our first pioneer will be Officer Eugene Ramsey. And I would ask that after I complete the bio for each honoree, that a representative of each family member would join us here on stage to receive your framed version of the Pioneer Plaque. In the late 1950s, Eugene left his hometown of Seaboard, North Carolina, to join the United States Army. He was stationed in Virginia, where he was a Master Chief with the United States Army. After he completed his military service, he became a police officer with the Princess Anne County Police Department. On or about 1960, Eugene was involved in the arrest of a white sailor. At that time, a white officer was needed to arrest a white suspect, and therefore Eugene had to wait for the arrival of his white counterpart. While detaining the white sailor, waiting for backup, Officer Ramsey was stabbed by the suspect, causing not only a physical injury, but an insult to him personally. This experience was in large part the deciding factor in him leaving law enforcement. He moved his family to Norristown, Pennsylvania, where he worked as a master chef in the men's dorm and managed the women's dorm kitchen staff at Villanova University in Villanova until the mid-1970s. Eugene loved to cook, was a restaurant owner, and owned and ran a small community grocery store. His entrepreneurial spirit provided for more than just jobs within his community. It provided him with the ability to help others when needed. He passed away in April of 1984 and is currently laid to rest at West Lawn Cemetery in Marion, Pennsylvania. Today, we honor Officer Eugene Ramsey. Is there a member of his family who could join me at the stage? If you can make steps appear over that, yes. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Our second pioneer is David S. Whitehurst. Officer Whitehurst joined the Princess Anne County Police Department on January 3, 1956, and continued his employment until April of 1957. Even though David Whitehurst left the police department, he continued his career in law enforcement by moving over to the Princess Anne County Sheriff's Office. In addition to Officer Whitehurst's law enforcement career, he was a volunteer firefighter with the SeaTac Volunteer Fire Department and an ordained minister, and served as a pastor at New Willow Grove Baptist Church in Chesapeake, Virginia. He was a member of the NAACP and a past master of the Oceana Masonic Lodge number 69. Officer Whitehurst was married and had five sons and 2 daughters. He passed away on November 16, 2007, and is laid to rest at Memory Garden Cemetery in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. Today, we honor Officer Whitehurst. We can have a member of his family to join us. Oops. And ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Officer Whitehurst's wife, who's with us today. For any spouse of a police officer, you recognize that the job is not done just by one. It is done by the 2 and everyone in their family. So we definitely salute you for your support of your husband and your commitment to service and all that he did during his lifetime. Our third pioneer is Warfield Wood. Warfield Melvin Wood joined the Virginia Beach Police Department on October 17, 1968, after serving in the United States Army as a combat medic. He was assigned to the 2nd Precinct Patrol Division and was promoted to detective and transferred to the Investigative Division, investigating homicide, robbery, narcotics, burglary, and violent crime violations. On April 21, 1974, he was the first Virginia Beach Police Department officer wounded in the line of duty in a one-on-one gun battle with a wanted felon, and was awarded the department's highest award, the Silver Cross and Blue Star, for valor under fire with distinction. On May 18, 1975, he left the Virginia Beach Police Department and became a special agent with the Naval Criminal Investigative Service, NCIS, Naval Air Station Norfolk, Virginia. On April 9, 1978, he was appointed special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the FBI. He retired from the FBI in 1998 as a supervisory special agent, grade government service GS-14. He is fully retired and currently lives in Baltimore, Maryland. Today, we honor Officer Warfield Wood. And we are so honored to have Officer Warfield Wood here with us today.
Thank you for this honor. Last year, I didn't make this event because the research committee thought I had deceased. So, as you can see, I'll come back from the dead. Okay, to be here this day to honor the memory of 3 former Virginia Beach police officers who contribute to the integrity, honor, and professional development of this current police department. Today we honor the spirit and commitment of 3 African Americans who paved the way for other black law enforcement officers to benefit from the hardships that they had to endure. Indifference, jealousy, racial prejudice from the white and black communities because of their status and authority as police officers. I became a Virginia Beach police officer in 1968. My first assignment was under the supervision of Sergeant Robert Spurl, and I purchased illegal whiskey. After 4 months of being undercover, I was assigned to the old 2nd Precinct. I was issued a gun, a badge, a uniform, a code book for the Commonwealth of Virginia, code book for the city of Virginia Beach, and was told, go out there and enforce the laws of this community the best that you can do. And this was my initial police academy training. I was assigned to a training officer in the 2nd Precinct, Officer Russell Lawrence, and that's how I got started. Just imagine a day just bringing somebody into a police department with no training, no academy training, and tell them to go out there and enforce the laws. I mean, it was unheard of back in those days. I understood the awesome responsibility I had. If I was expected to enforce the law, I had to know the law. So I had to educate myself. And back in those days, in the property room, we had a series of police manuals, and I would go down there and check those manuals out and read them from page to page about arrest procedure, search warrants, testimony, evidence collection, the whole gamut of working as a police officer. You know, I did not concern myself about whom to arrest or who not to arrest. And case in point, I was patrolling down Atlantic Avenue one night, and I noticed this vehicle weaving in and out on the roadway. So I stopped him. I asked the driver to get out of the vehicle. When he opened the door, he fell out and fell flat on his face in the roadway. I took him to the 2nd Precinct to process him for driving under the influence. And when I got there, the Justice of the Peace looked at me, looked at the driver, looked at me again, looked at the driver, and said, "Wood, are you sure you want to do this?" And I told the Justice of the Peace at that time, I said, "Look at him. He can't even stand up. I had to hold him up against the wall." So the next morning, I had to go down to the municipal court to provide testimony. I'm sitting in court. I'm looking around. I don't see this guy in court. And the judge at the time was calling the docket. All the cases were coming up. They were being heard, and I'm still sitting there. So I walked up to the judge and said, "Judge, what about my case? I arrested this guy for driving under influence last night." He said, come on back into my chambers. So I walked back there in the judge's chambers, and he said, "Jesus, Wood, do you know who you arrested last night?" And I said, "Yeah, drunk, driving a vehicle." He said, "No, you arrested the former mayor of Virginia Beach." He said, he said, "Forget about it, it didn't happen." So I didn't know the politics of the department then. So that was the only thing I didn't calculate into this job. You know, I did not know the politics. All right, so I respectively told the judge, I said, "Judge," I said, "if you see the former mayor of Virginia Beach, just tell him that if I see him in my sector again driving under influence, I will arrest him again." Now, as you heard, I moved on to different careers in my life, but I can tell you honestly, the people that I work with on this department and the leadership that I had in the Detective Bureau, Richard Davis, Ernest Buzzy, all those guys taught me a lot about being a law enforcement officer. The young guys that I work with, robbery, homicide, were outstanding. We were one big family. We only had about 13 guys in the whole Detective Bureau. But we were one family. We always supported each other. And that training that I received helped me to move on to other careers and the leadership capacity with Naval Intelligence at the time and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Some of the things that happened to me in the Detective Bureau when I got there, I reopened a number of serial rape cases that were previously listed as unfounded. I solved about 16 armed robberies committed in Virginia Beach and Norfolk, Virginia by 2 former Norfolk police officers. The night that we caught them, myself and I think it was Jim Brazier, Bill Barnes were in the car. We had a running gun battle up 264, and I think we had to shoot out the tires. We shot out the tires because they were going so fast and going through the barrier. We knew that somebody was going to get killed. So we shot out the tires on the car, and the car flipped over. And they were shooting back at us, and this guy had a .44 Magnum, and bullets were flying everywhere. The other thing, every time that I stepped into an unmarked vehicle, Detective Charles Pace and myself, after getting off from work one day, we went into the Below Market up on Baker Road to get some beer for our midnight poker game. And we walked in there, and we walked into armed robbery in progress. And here 3 guys, 2 guys had revolvers, 1 guy had a shotgun, sawed-off shotgun. So we get in a shooting battle with them. The guy blew out the plate glass window, jumped out. We caught the other 2. The other guy got away, but he was arrested in Dade County. And Pace and I went down to Dade County. They extradited him back here to Virginia Beach. And we drove him all the way back in the car with his hands cuffed and his head down, and I think that was about a 12-hour ride. So, we brought him back to Virginia Beach. A lot of things happened back in those days, but what's important here is that, don't take this for granted. This is a big deal. This is a very big deal for the city of Virginia Beach, for the police department leadership. To honor all of us here is amazing. I have no idea that, this was going to happen. And I want to congratulate the mayor, chief of police, all administrators in Virginia Beach for having this ceremony and bringing home the last 3 guys to the family. And they will never be forgotten. They sacrificed a lot, and to the families, your relatives were heroes, and always remember them as heroes. All right, thank you very much.
Wow. Isn't it amazing to be able to have that in the presence of the young people who are here today, to get an up-close and personal glimpse of history? We thank you. We want to make sure that you don't leave without your special plaque as well. And I can say this, that as a prosecutor in this city, I thank you and all the other pioneers for what you did as first, for those of us who came later in the city as servant leaders as well, to know that we're valued, appreciated, and respected. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
See, after listening to some of those stories, I'm waiting for the book, or the movie, or the documentary. I think we might have some people around here with cameras that would love to talk to you about that opportunity, Retired Officer Wood. And at this time, I would ask that Bill Humphrey of the Virginia Beach Police Foundation would join me here at the podium for our next presentation.
Thank you. I got a little different script. Thank you, Vivian.
I'm pleased to be here today representing retired Chief Jake Jaycox, who's president of the Virginia Beach Police Foundation, to honor our pioneering black law enforcement officers, and especially the service of Special Officer Hezekiah Little Jr., who died in the line of duty. While patrolling Seaview Beach on August the 2nd, 1953, Hezekiah Little Jr. was shot and killed as he was attempting to arrest an individual. Seaview Beach, located near Shore Drive and Great Neck Road, was reportedly one of the best run and most popular all-black beaches on the East Coast. It was also private property and needed police services that Princess Anne County Police did not provide. Hezekiah Little Jr. was among several men who were appointed special police officers by Princess Anne County Circuit Court Judge F.E. Kellum, and he was given full arrest authority to provide the law enforcement needs of the property. Hezekiah was 25 years old and only had been working as a special police officer for a few months prior to his death. He left a wife, 2 sons, a daughter, 5 brothers, and 5 sisters. He was laid to rest on August the 6th, 1953 at SeaTac Cemetery. The newspapers at the time reported that the funeral procession was over a mile long, and many of those who came to pay their respects had to wait outside St. Mark's AMA Church during the funeral. With the passing of time, Hezekiah Little's sacrifice had unfortunately been lost in history until last year, when a citizen alerted to the police department of his death and a need to include him among the department's black law enforcement pioneers. Research was conducted, validated, and promoted by the Virginia Beach Police Department and by the Virginia Beach Police Foundation. And as a result, Hezekiah's story was well publicized and finally brought to light. In uncovering the historical value of Hezekiah's sacrifice, retired Virginia Police Chief Jake Jaycox and our current police chief, Jim Severa, caused Officer Little's name to be added to the Virginia Beach Law Enforcement Memorial and to the National Law Enforcement Memorial in Washington, D.C. That was done during ceremonies attended by members of his family during Police Week, May of 2013. It is our honor to report that Hezekiah Little Jr.'s name is now proudly carved in stone at both memorials, where it will forever stand as a permanent reminder of the ultimate sacrifice paid by this local hero. I encourage you to visit the Virginia Beach Law Enforcement Memorial at 35th Street and the Boardwalk, where you will see Hezekiah's name listed with the other 14 officers who have died in the line of duty serving the citizens of Virginia Beach. And during the month of August, you will also see a plaque which contains Special Officer Little's photo and a description of the events leading to his death. His sacrifice will never again be lost to history. On behalf of the Virginia Beach Police Foundation, we say thank you to his family for his service to our community. May God bless all our police officers and keep them from harm. Thank you.
Do we have any members of the Little family present today?
Thank you very much.
The Virginia Beach Honor Guard will be doing the flag presentation to the family. For those of us who have experienced the loss of a loved one through their service through law enforcement or through service to our country, that pain is sometimes unbearable. However, we are reminded that each of them paid the ultimate sacrifice by doing something that they loved, serving and protecting others. We salute you, the Little family, and all of the families of the honorees today. Please join me in applauding them. And at this time, I would ask that you would join me for a heartfelt welcome to the man who had the vision to see this program, part 1 and 2, come to fruition. Please join me in welcoming Captain Pat Gallagher for closing remarks.
We started this journey almost 2 years ago. And last year, I was very proud of the fact that we accomplished something. If it wasn't for a conversation I had with Paulette, I promise you, I gave you my word last year, and here we are. And I'm glad we were able to come full circle. I would like to take the opportunity to personally thank Chief Severa for his support for this ceremony. He gives me great leeway in running the 2nd Precinct, and I appreciate his confidence in me as we move forward and as we planned and executed this ceremony. I would also like to give special thanks to the 2nd Precinct CAC. I'd also like to give even more thanks to my favorite mayor of all times, Mayor Sessoms. Thank you, sir. I think this is the 5th or 6th time I've asked the mayor to support me in one event or another, and he has never turned me down, and thank you, sir. I'd like to thank Mr. John Wells. Mr. John Wells is the artist who constructed this plaque, and he did an unbelievable job. He deserves a very special credit for that. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank a good friend of mine, Lieutenant Bob Chrisman, who helped me in doing all the artwork and ensuring that I had these posters. For those of you that were here last year, we had 9 posters of the pioneers, and I wanted to make sure that we honored in a similar fashion our pioneers this year. And it wasn't necessarily a rush job, but it was a lot of effort to get that done for today, and I thank Bob Chrisman for that. I cannot thank the planning committee that was formed almost 2 years ago. The 5 ladies that we talked about earlier, I talked about them last year. They have been invaluable to me, and I thank each and every one of them for their work and dedication in making this ceremony special. I get a lot of credit for these types of things, but I do not do it alone. I want to thank the Virginia Beach Honor Guard and Lieutenant Humphreys for his work today. Police Chaplain Ruby Christian and also Marissa Gooden. Again, they joined us this year as last year, and phenomenal. Thank you very much for your participation. And lastly, I'd like to thank Vivian Henderson. She volunteered last year, and I sent her an email probably about a month ago, and she jumped on it. I think I received the email within 5 minutes of sending it, and I thank you. And by the way, her child is right over here with her mother, and it's nice that she would come and she would bring her child and her mom along with her. If the question is ever asked of me, or if the question is ever asked of you, why did we do this for these men? I would hope that you would agree with me and that we did this because they deserved it. Please join me once again in thanking today's heroes, and most especially their family members, for their contribution, their sacrifice, and their dedication. Additionally, for setting an example for encouraging the rest of us to listen to one another, to nurture our relationships, to bring people together for the greater good, and for making the world a better place for a better future for the next generation. I thank you. I now call Chaplain Ruby for the benediction. Thank you.
Has this not been a beautiful, beautiful ceremony and honor and recognition to all the families here? It just feels good inside to know that the city has taken the time and the effort to honor the men that have served in the pioneer part of the City of Virginia Beach Police Department. I've been asked to do a benediction, and I will do a very short one. Would you please bow your heads? Our Heavenly Father, we remember you now and lift to you our thanks, and for your continuing love and care for the individuals we have recognized here today and their families. Watch over them, guide them, and protect them and their families, as you are ever generous to us, providing for the needs, both of our bodies and our spirits. Help us to be ever generous toward one another, serving one another in your name. Amen.
I am one. I am but one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And I will not let what I cannot do interfere with me doing what I can. I challenge each of you today to leave with a little bit of what our heroes that paved the way for us. Challenge yourselves to do something that you can do to make our community, our Commonwealth of Virginia, and our nation a better place for all citizens to live. Thank you and God bless you.